After a much too long 2-week absence from the ear holes and cranium cavities of you, our dear listeners, we're back again to add a bit to this podcasting platform pile of a show that we call See No, Hear No, Speak No. A fanfare-inducing return featuring none other than one of my personal favorites of a freak. The perennial psychopath whose personal preference for dismemberment and corpse copulation abetted by his prodigious cerebrum into the crystal-clear certainty of perfect consummation. An imposing monster of monumental measure, the behemithic polypheme, in both stature and unquenched, incalculable impetus toward lascivious erection-inducing mutilation. Including necrophiliac's Oedipal infatuation, despite the onslaught of abhorrent objurgation, compliments of his own personal Queen of Thebes. Having altruistic aspirations toward scrupulous employment in the authoritative axiom, finally, his festering fixation on the ravenous consumption of the academic dogma regarding his personal, infinitely intimate affliction, only to reconfigure and retool its therapeutic intention, forged into the very embodiment of his righteous hatred. These sentences will be unencrypted within the show proper, and then lovingly injected with dick jokes and big rig background noise that fucking refuses to be edited out of the show.
Спроси себя, мой разум где, мой разум где, мой разум где.
Welcome back, boys and girls.
Oh God, I really hope that got my dog's whimper in the background.
That was perfect.
Just after I did that. Yeah, I like it. Now, the whimpers that followed, not very well timed, Darcy. That's why we have rehearsals on Wednesdays.
I was going to say, she must have been absent for rehearsals.
Yeah, yeah. She's just a big fatty that wants more food shoved in her big fatty face. She's beautiful, though. Anyway, welcome. Welcome, Chris. Welcome, listeners. Welcome. That's pretty much it, I guess, is the listeners, because there's you, and then there's people that maybe are listening somewhere, but...
Well, thank you for the welcome. I'm happy to be here. Not here, because where I am sucks, but other than that, with you guys, I'm happy.
Chris and I are going to keep it super low-key and whatnot. Maybe. I don't know, because we haven't really talked about it at all yet, but just know, and I just can't contain myself, that Chris and I shall meet in public very soon-ish.
Indeed.
At some date that has been determined that we shall not share.
I'll keep you informed as it goes along, but so far, everything is on schedule and looking good.
No, I swear to God, if you come down here and we don't meet up and hook up, I will fucking lose it.
Nah, it should be
How
easy.
weird would that shit be? How fucked up would that be? So, to another wonderful Jason and Chris are buds, like totally for reals and stuff, guys. Episode of See No, Hear No, Speak No.
Well, that was a slow going intro, but
I'll fix it in post.
they'll be able to spot how much we love the UFOs, conspiracies, and the murders, along with, the way that we just chatted up so nonchalantly.
I already forgot what we were talking about. That's how much it meant to me.
Good, then maybe everything I just said is completely off context. I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, I'm super curious now. I'll find out. So, have I got a true crime story for you, Chris?
Wait. Hold the phone.
What?
Sir,
Mm-hmm.
before we get into that, I feel it only necessary. I feel it is my civic duty to apologize to the boys and girls for our delay. Yet again, It is my stinky job that has everything just floating out in limbo. So my apologies, kids.
And he and I talked about it today. Yeah, and it's still gonna be the two of us, but done slightly differently. We will also be able to do it much more often than we have been, because you would think me having the 2-month-old would be the one, but no, she's surprisingly chill and relaxed. She's just swinging in her little swing right now, just wiggling away.
Yeah, no, it's my crazy schedule now. It's messing everything up.
It's okay.
But we're going to work out these bugs. So, all right, continue. My apologies.
Wait, you have bugs in your truck too?
Hell no.
I can see why you just don't want to spend a lot of time just sitting there. All those bugs everywhere.
Nah, we clean when we can.
So back to my original question. How would you, sir, like to hear a true crime tale unlike many other?
Unlike many other. Well, I'm super excited about any true crime tale. I'm with it. I'm completely down. And it's been a while.
Yeah, we've done like some more mystery stuff lately, but today we're getting back into the fucking terribleness. Because Burbank, California, on December 18th, 1948, Edmund E. Kemper III was born. He was born the second child for E.E., that's Eddie Jr., and Clarnell Kemper. That's Clarnell with a C, because I know you had to ask. He had two sisters.
Sounds like a black dude.
One was 6 years older. Wait, what? Yeah, his mom's a big black dude.
Cornell. I just always picture a black dude when I hear that name.
Yeah, because it's a black dude name, not an old white lady name.
Seriously.
And this isn't like a thing. That's a name that I know some black guys by, and I've never met a single old white lady with it. So, anywho's, he had two sisters, one 6 years older, and one 2 years, 2.5-ish, whatever, years younger. He was real close to his dad, but his parents divorced in 1957, so he was 9 years old. So, Clarnell moved the kids and everything to Montana, which sucked for Eddie because...
I'm totally picturing like a Big Mama situation now.
Where it's Big Mama's house? Why?
Like
I never saw the movie.
Well, no, like it's a dude in a woman's suit, and he just never changed his name because he pushed on the husband that it's a new age, it's unisex. Cornell could be a girl.
So, he claimed that it toughened him up, like going to do all this shit, and what really toughened him up about this whole experience was the fact that his mom would lock him in the basement because he was off-putting. We can just say off-putting, right? Because he was a large, even as a child. He really hated his mom, but he spoke a lot of the time like he understood why she did the things that she did, which is kind of fucked up, I guess. To be able to rationalize just abuse, I guess. And in a lot of later interviews, he would describe his fear and anger growing up, along with all these things that he would envision doing. So all of his fantasies that were, as we'll see, not very pleasant ones for a normal person to have, but like super fucking great for him because boners are good and stuff. This is when it started. So he went on to say later on that he said that when he killed the family cat, placing its head on an altar, that he felt empowered, and he just loved it. God, he loved it. He couldn't get enough of it, especially after when he did it, he got away with it. Everybody knew it was him, but he was like, no. No, that was probably the guy next door. He's 80 years old, Eddie, and he can't walk.
for these animal killing guys, like I don't understand why not try to hone that or harness it into something constructive, like taxidermy or something, like we saw, like that picture I sent you the other day.
If you're a taxidermist, you don't get to torture and tear apart people's pets, though. Like, I think that's the part that's the fun part for them. I don't think it's the posing and and filling with sawdust bit.
Well, no, that part is like the cover. It's like the cover. But you could kind of do damn near whatever you want with them up until the part where you got to put them all back together. But you don't even have to put them all back together. Hunting, motherfuckers just fillet them and eat them and all that kind of shit, and there's nothing to show for it. So you don't really have to have anything to show for it. But if you want trophies, now you're trained to do that. Now, I'm not saying that that's not something a real sicko would then turn around and do to people.
Well, see, what I thought you were saying was that he should become a taxidermist to learn taxidermy to then further the art that he already has at home, which is murdering neighborhood animals.
No. I was saying take it away from.
Because I could see that movie, like Dennis the Menace,
Oh yeah.
But in that situation, I think that's
I could see that being a hilarious family comedy.
Hated that kid.
Starring Ice Cube and
I don't like Ice Cube much either.
in family comedies? No, really?
Not as a family comedy actor with an RV. It's just God. There was that day that you had where you didn't even have to use your AK.
Right.
But now you're yelling at some other bitch's kids in this RV that you can't drive. And it's not because you're stupid or anything. It's because it's an RV and you've never driven one and you're having trouble with it. And now they're yelling things from the back and you're like, "Urgh."
Well, I mean,
like maybe start using your AK again is what I'm saying.
It's a new day. It could be a whole new movie. I think perhaps an AK is required in such a film. But I mean, I'm just saying that perhaps instead of doing things to terrorize people, you could like harness your weird tendencies towards something else more constructive.
Yeah, I mean, I'll encourage from the sidelines.
Like the picture I sent you yesterday, or the other day, or whenever that was.
I refresh my memory.
The spine whip, the whip that was made of two human spines that was found in a fucking basement in Wyoming.
And it looked like it was encrusted with blood.
Yeah,
I want to find out more about the human spine whip, because that's just sweet stuff. But you know what's funny is this story is still worse, huh? I think.
I mean, it gets worse. That's pretty bad.
I mean, he didn't make torture implements out of the anyway. So he honed his ability to manipulate people, really, and he would present just like a super normal fucking public facade that anybody would feel just fine being, just he would trust you. You would trust him because that's what psychopaths do, I suppose, is they're able to put out this completely normal thing that they know is completely not. And the whole time in their head, they're laughing as they fucking fuck stab us,
Just a quick update on what that noise is when it happens. Mm-hmm. That's the lane drifting sensors. If one of the wheels drifts out of the lane, it makes us that do noise on either side of the cab, just to let you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Is that something that we as lovers of Chris should be worried about?
No, not at all. It's just there's nothing I can do about turning it off or the volume of it or anything that.
You're good. You're good. That's what editing's for. And if I can't edit it out, you just had a whole explanation of it. So I think we're good.
Cool.
So, it's around this time that he killed the cat and such that he was also developing this this intense make 'em up world. He was 10 years old and he was already thinking about like ladies as sex things, you know, and what he could potentially do to these sex things that were women. It's sad. He says in a later interview, when I was in school, I was called a chronic daydreamer, and I saw a counselor twice during junior high and high school, and that was very routine. They didn't ask me a lot of questions about myself, and that was probably the most violent fantasy time that I was off into.
Wow.
The whole time where people are supposed to be trying to help kids is the whole time that he was having the most intense fucking violent fantasies that he could have, and he was seeing a counselor and all this stuff. It was, you know, I guess they just don't ask the right questions.
Yeah, I'm sure in some cases it really does just go a little step further than just being able to talk to someone about things. People are genuinely driven to do things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know, the way that this guy's brain worked. His brain was a fucking steel trap machine of a, like, you could set your fucking watch on it. Like, we'll get more into that, but was a genius. His IQ is genius level IQ. So he had the type of mind where he could take in all the information and then assemble it the way he needed it to be assembled, and then he could just use that as a tool now, instead of letting it actually get into him and change him.
Wow. Impressive.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it.
Old Eddie Camps. So, stories from his sisters involved other kind of disconcerting things. One of his sisters had goaded him into kissing a teacher, and he apparently said that if he did, he'd have to kill her. So it's like he's the CIA with a secret, I guess.
Oh, damn.
His younger sister later recalled that he often cut the heads off her dolls, and his mom put him in the basement to keep him away from the girls because she didn't trust him. Her, that's probably, I mean, was he a terrible rapist murderer before the basement, or was he a terrible rapist murderer because of the basement?
Probably before.
Yeah, it was.
But the basement didn't help.
Anyway, no, I'm guessing the basement didn't help much at all, really. His parents did actually try with him, because he was just a difficult kid, you know, but not in like, he wasn't like an aggressive dick kid that feels entitled to everything. Like, he was an honest to God, like, wrist cutter, but maybe not his wrists kid that's all fucking just quiet and you don't know what's going on in there.
Right.
But it says that, like, when he was a kid, he was afraid that he would be physically hurt by other boys, and that he wouldn't be able to have friends with them, or be friends with them, or have friends, or fucking whatever. And he still could not let go the whatever feelings he was feeling because of his parents' divorce. So, like, he's still having all these things in his head, and then added all that on top of the sex and violence fantasies. So that made the kind of personality that his mom didn't exactly like living with at all anymore. So he was sent to Los Angeles to live with his dad and his new stepmom, which didn't go well. Their reaction was about the same as his mom's. So they sent him off. Well, I found conflicting things here that say that after he went to live with his dad and his stepmom, that his dad got freaked or whatever and then sent him to live with his parents, so Edmund's paternal grandparents. Or I've also heard that after his dad kicked him out, he went back to his mom's, back to his dad's, back to his mom's, then to the grandparents. So just throwing that in there because I don't know which one's which.
Fall down.
So he was sent to Los Angeles, and their reaction was much like the reaction of his mother's and his father's, in that his strangeness was like, it was threatening, and they immediately needed, like, they were like, we have to figure something out with this kid because this is too much. So he goes and he lives on this 17-acre farm in Norfolk, California. He was brought there on for the Christmas holidays or whatever, and they just left him there. Like, they didn't tell him that they were moving there. Yeah, so that's good. He later says, I went to live with Dad, and he sends me up to Grandma. Now she's going to undo all the terrible things that my mother did to me. I'm going to be a showpiece. She's going to show the world that my mother was a lousy parent. I'm going to be a pawn in his little game. I think we can gather that he wasn't really happy to be there.
No, not so much, but it seems like he's kind of okay with this little scheme, but maybe that's all sarcasm. This little...
I think he's honestly happy to be away from his mom. Like, I don't want to say she abused him. I mean, no one should be locked in the basement. But I think that's going a few steps too far, but I think that's kind of the only thing that she overstepped with. I mean, she was a nag. Like, she was constantly at him about the tiniest things, and they would have loud fucking arguments. But, you know, like we hear in a lot of other serial killer cases that are abused and, you know, all this other terrible stuff when they're kids, he just kind of got yelled at a lot.
So, yeah. It was before the basement, but the basement didn't help.
Indeed. So, he, even though not being happy there, he started school anyway, because let's all remember that Eddie Kemps is still younger than 16. So, his teachers at Sierra Joint Union High School, they help him, and he makes some progress. He's still not, I mean...
Wait. Did you just say he makes shrimp fried rice?
I said some progress, but
that's totally
now I'm
different.
super hungry for shrimp fried rice. I like that. That's the best. That's the best anyone has ever misunderstood me. But they found him to be meek and quiet. He didn't cause trouble. He made regular ass grades, and he didn't draw attention to himself. But he was still a super fucking tall dude. Even at this age, he was over 6 foot. So, but back at home with his grandparents, shit was tense, and he didn't like them. They didn't like him, and everybody knew that everybody hated each other. They found him disconcerting, which is a pleasant way to say fucking weird.
Fucking weird.
And yeah,
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
It's but they kept him busy and out of their hair by giving him a .22 rifle, and he would go out and with his little dog, and he would shoot rabbits, gophers, and birds, even though he was warned not to shoot birds quite a few times. But for a while, this, I guess, would contain his aggression, because he still got to murder things. But at the end of the school year, he went back to his mom and sisters and to spend the summer. But within 2 weeks, he was back at the farm. When he got back there, his grandmother Maud had commented that you went backwards, kid. You know, like, you've regressed. He seemed a whole lot sadder, more ominous, and he just didn't have an outlet other than nothing in his gun, I guess.
So just by going to visit his mom and sister, he takes 2 steps
for 2
back.
weeks.
Oh, okay, so 2 weeks, that's a decent amount of time. You can get into a few arguments and piss people off in 2 weeks.
You know, sometimes it's 2 steps forward and it's 2 steps back, you know?
Yeah, not 2 steps and, like, cats' heads.
That we come together. Because opposites attract. Oh no, MC Scat Cat, watch out for Edmund Kemper.
He's back again.
Oh.
This fucking guy, he never goes away.
He just did. Edmund Kemper just put his head on a pole. Ugh. So his grandma, though, to him was also what he considered to be a bit of a nag, and he thought of his grandfather as a bit of a bore. He would start having violent fantasies, but this time starring his grandma. He once said that he imagined her in the outhouse as he shot it full of holes. He would line up the sights of his rifle on her without her knowing or seeing. And it would just he'd be like, I wonder what it would be like to kill her.
That much I think everybody does. Like those kinds of those.
I don't think everybody does that through the sights of a .22 rifle. Though.
Not literally through a rifle sight, but I'm saying like everybody has those types of thoughts, or just I wonder, whatever, squish you from afar.
With this fucking weird kid skulking around their property, this made Maud a little nervous. He's just walking with a big frown and dragging his .22 as his dog licks the dead cat off his feet and stuff. Like, that would make me nervous. So she started carrying Eddie Sr.'s 45 pistol on her a few times. Not because she wanted it in case something happened, but she didn't want it. She didn't want to leave it there and have it fall into Eddie III's hands, because she's a smart lady. She's a smart lady. She told him not to touch it a few times, but she didn't think that he was going to do that. So what's even better is that even though she told him don't touch this and stuff, knew that he wasn't going to listen, and took the 45 with her, he took this as a lack of trust and an insult, and then fucking brooded and just got sadder and sadder all summer long. Shit got bad, intense. And so on August 27th, 1964, Edmund sat with his grandma at the kitchen table. They were going over proofs from a children's book that she was writing. So looking up, she noticed Edmund had a bit of a weird look on his face, like a 1,000-yard stare kind of deal. And she'd seen this frightening look a bunch before. She told him to fucking knock it off. And after a moment, he stood up and he picked his gun up and whistled for his dog. And he said he was going to go shoot some fucking gophers. So he walks through the screen door. He turns around, sees that her back is faced him, sitting at the table. So he raises his rifle, took aim at her head, and he fired once. She fucking immediately slumped over at the table.
What?
He then shot her 2 more times in the back. And then he went inside.
Grandma?
This is Grandma. This is murder number one.
That's fucked up.
So he goes inside, he wraps her in a towel, and he drags her into their bedroom. And just minutes later, his grandpa pulls up the driveway with the grocery shopping that he's done. And as he's unloading the truck, Edmund takes aim and shoots him in the back of the head. So,
see, man, I think about shit like that, like, all the time. Where, like, I'm like, you know what? It's fucked up. It's, like, extra fucked up to murder old people, because, like, you could say, oh, well, young people, it's fucked up to murder young people, because it's fucked up to murder anybody, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, some people will make the argument that it's more fucked up to murder young people because they haven't had the chance to live,
right,
whereas an old person can go. I think it's more fucked up to murder old people because they've lived this long without fucked up shit happening.
Yeah, and then
you just come in and be like,
yeah. I've
fuck
always,
you, dude.
I've always thought that too. Like in a movie when like an old
person
person
develop cancer,
skipping down the street
right?
and stuff
You don't
like
have
that.
dementia.
They've been through all this stuff, and then like just their head explodes or whatever, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
all for
you're
naught.
fucking 90. You're trying to spend out the rest of your years.
Okay,
like,
no, I think there's a cutoff date where we just purge, but we'll talk about that later. So
yeah, that's a different story. I'm just saying, like, I'd be pissed the fuck off if I got murdered when I was like 80 or above. Like that's just
Well, good
just
luck being
rude.
pissed off because you get murdered, Chris. Let me know how that goes.
rude.
Let me know how your attitude at the rudeness that's come to you, how that works out in the end.
Oh, I'm gonna be a ghost.
Oh,
You
I'm
believe
gonna
that.
be a ghost.
Mark my motherfucking words right now.
Oh,
Me and the universe got this shit worked out.
If only
I'm gonna be a
Maud,
ghost.
if only Maud and Senior had told Edmund this, they maybe could have cut out a lot of heartache and grossness. So, killing his grandparents. I don't know if you. I mean, he was dismayed at what had transpired, but
Was he?
not because
Was
he
he
had done it.
dismayed?
Nah, he wasn't dismayed or saddened because he had killed his grandparents and they were gone forever and shit. He knew he'd be caught. His grandparents,
Or did he know that eventually he was gonna get fucking hungry and there's no money coming in the house because you're a fucking retarded 16-year-old kid being a
No.
goddamn douchebag?
it wouldn't take that long because his grandparents aren't the kind of people that would just leave him alone for a while on a vacation or whatever. So even if he hid their bodies, their friends and family would kind of notice immediately. Like, they were well-liked people. So,
Fuck it.
so I mean, he didn't think anything through, much less where's my next meal coming from. I know exactly what he was thinking because it's been. He said it a trillion times, or it's been written about that. He said it a trillion times and all this shit. But what he was thinking was, and I quote, "I wanted to see what it was like to kill Grandma." And then the reason for his grandfather's death by murder by child with a gun was that he didn't want his grandpa to see his grandma dead and die of a heart attack. So he shot him in the head.
Oh, okay.
You see, he's the nice guy. He's the hero. He's such a sweet, awesome dude that
I'm not
he's
thinking
like,
of the word all of a sudden.
I don't want my grandpa to go through this heartache. I'll kill him too.
Sympathetic. What a guy.
So
what a fucking guy.
So he calls his mom, freaking out, telling her what he did. And his mom's like, okay, so call the cops. I don't know what you want me to do. You just killed your fucking grandparents. There's no protecting you from this. I'm not going to say I did it. I have alibis for where I was. Yeah, so call the police and don't do anything else stupid. He calls the police and he waits for them on his porch. They pick him up.
These are his paternal grandparents?
His paternal. His papa's.
Right, so his
Papa.
mom's like,
Yeah, his mom I don't think cares that much. They're her ex-parent-in-laws. And that's sad to say, but sometimes when the fury's there, it gets leaked onto other people, you know?
Mom's like, I guess at least it wasn't people I like.
So he was then incarcerated in juvenile hall while the California Youth Authority decided what to do with him, and a court-appointed psychiatrist diagnosed him as paranoid and psychotic. So they committed him to Atascadero State Hospital. He entered that facility on December 6, 1964, and he hadn't even had his 16th birthday yet. This is a 15-year-old child who has just murdered his grandparents in cold blood. That's where we begin our story. And boy, the twists and turns are very, very, very... let's just say you can see him from a mile away if you've ever heard about a serial killer before, but it's the details that the devil lives in, and that's where we're going. You know where we're going? We're going to Atascadero State Hospital. Eyebrow raises. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
What state is that in?
It's in California. So we are in
California
state insane asylum in the late 60s. So
Gross.
I'm thinking resort. I'm thinking cocktails by the pool and squash, probably next to the pool. But still, I'm thinking it's pretty sweet there.
I'm thinking more along the lines of season 2 of American Horror Story.
Or American Idol. So it wasn't. It was a secure facility, but it wasn't a prison. It was an insane asylum, basically. Maybe not even an insane asylum. It's just
double murderer.
Yeah, he was also a child. I don't know. There were no guard towers, and basically the purpose of everybody's stay here wasn't rehabilitation or paying penance. It was treatment. It was being treated for a sickness, basically. So when he got there, they gave him every test that they could fucking throw at him to try to get insight into him at all, if not into the nature of his crimes or whatever. Just they tried everything. So he uses all of the results from these these tests that they give him to learn more about what people thought of what he did. He wasn't sad about it at all. He didn't even accept responsibility for what he did, saying that it was beyond his control. So what he did was
wonder.
Hmm?
Like I'm just always thinking, like, you gotta wonder what's. I can't even really formulate this into a real question, but it always occurs to me that the difference between the ones who say that it's out of their control or they just couldn't fight the urge and this and that, or the ones between the ones who go like more like a Carol Cott sort of situation, and he goes, I did it. Oh yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah. No, that's good. Yeah.
I mean, see that's the right kind of guy for me. I'll say something that I don't think I've heard anybody ever say before about Carol Cott, and that is, I think that if maybe he had some more training, that he could.
Dude. That's why we're friends. Like you took the word right out of my episode.
Yeah, I did, because you've said that to me multiple times. I always get angry at it.
Just saying.
I like it though.
Just saying.
Start
maybe my words
mm-hmm.
will spawn someone to break off and start training serial killers to be awesome at what they do. To be awesome?
So like learn how to play bass for Kiss and replace Gene Simmons on their latest tour? That'd be pretty awesome.
The government does it anyway, so
the government
why not
does it
one
anyway?
Of those guys spin off and
are any of the members of
Kiss
still the original members of Kiss, or are they all government spy plants?
Hey, they're Jewish. Who knows?
It's a different episode altogether. So what he did with all the information that he's getting out of all these tests and shit is he's not like, oh, so that's wrong with me. I wonder how we're going to fix it. It's, oh, so that's how people know that that's wrong with me. I know how to not let them know that anymore.
Yep. Crafty little strategist.
They let him work in the psychology laboratory, and he would help administer tests. He took pride in doing a good job, and his doctors interpreted that as a good sign. Because usually psychopaths are reluctant and uncooperative workers, but he seemed like up for anything. Like he just wanted to get his hands fucking dirty.
Right.
But while he's there doing all this, like putting his best face forward, he's getting to know other people at Atascadero, including serial rapists who would share their stories with him. And what he did with this is he started developing ways that they fucked up. Like he's like, oh, that's how you got caught. Okay, I get it. So it's you left witnesses. You attacked women that you knew. You did it in too public a place. All this stuff. So he's keeping all this information because he knows he wants to do something terrible, but he also knows that he doesn't necessarily want to be caught for it. So he didn't share any of these fucking terrible violent fantasies with his doctors because he knew what to say to get out. So he claimed religious conversion, which he backed up by just learning tons of Bible verses that he had heard here or there. He was clean cut. He was a conservative dude. He was super fucking smart and was eventually released in 1969. So he's there for 4 years. So
Wow.
when he gets out, though, it's
4
kind of
whole
a shock
years.
from the world that he left and the world that he's now walking into. Because, like I said, he's fucking super, like, he's a square. He's a fucking square, man. And everywhere, as far as the eye can see, in California in 1969, are fucking hippies.
Yep. Oh,
Fucking
shit.
hippies. So they're all peace loving it up with their disgustingly unwashed hair and their stupid smelly
Yep.
clothes and their fucking
And he was
dirty
15
gross
when he
sandals
went in, too.
and their stupid music that I hate and their stupid way of talking. I'm staring Melissa dead in the eye while I say all this too.
I was going to say, and they're beautiful babies that they have for
That's
you.
right. And the wonderful just gifts from Stephen Hawking beyond the grave himself that we have together. That's right. That
Yep.
beautiful, beautiful tiny little twitching poop bag that I love so much. Okay. I think I covered that up nicely. Wink. I'm not supposed to say wink. I did it, though.
Congratulations.
So he comes out and he's like, I should be a cop because fuck this. But the
Oh my
police,
God.
both local and state police, had they have a maximum height limit. You can't be a cop if you're over this tall. I think that's
What?
hilarious. Yeah. Because
What about Hightower?
Okay, Police Academy, while a wonderfully, masterfully even arranged and filmed and acted and written and shot, just work of pure cinematic art that is the Police Academy movies. They're still movies, Chris. Hightower would not have been allowed into the police.
Why the hell not?
He's too fucking tall. You can't fit in a car. You saw what he had to do to the cop car to even just drive it around a course? He had to rip the fucking seat out. You can't be doing that.
From the back seat? Yeah, well,
And
anyway,
people like
so
that
he's
look
too
imposing,
tall.
but they're so slow and they break easy when they're that tall. It's weird. So they were
Okay.
like,
yeah, that makes sense. You can't move very fast.
Yeah.
And shit. So instead of a double murder, you're just too tall. Like that's why he got turned down.
because he was. I mean, Chris, he was a minor. His killing his grandparents has been completely sealed off.
Oh, only the feds can bring it up. I see.
Only the federales. That's right. Only the Mexican goddamn governmental police force.
They always know.
God bless America. So since they were like, nope, you're too tall, you big stupid tall man. What's the weather like up there? You're an asshole because you're tall. He was 6'9".
That's crazy.
6'9".
6'9", really?
6'9".
Wow.
Yeah.
I knew a guy in high school that was that big. That's a big son of a bitch.
Who was he? Oh,
His name is Mark Asperdides.
But did he go to Bonneville?
Yeah. No. Sorry, he didn't. He did not go to Bonneville.
Okay.
He
I
was
should
one of
ask
the
that.
rave kids with us.
But yeah. But anyway, tall guy. I get it. I hate him.
Huge.
Jerks. I'm just below average in height, but just above
Believe
average.
they
in
made
everything
Jinkos
else.
for that guy?
Who did what now?
Listen, you believe they made Jinkos for that guy?
I think that he probably just put some bed sheets around his legs.
They totally did. That's crazy.
So he wanted so bad to be a cop, and they wouldn't let him because he was too tall. So do you know what he did to make himself feel better? He bought a fucking motorcycle. That's right. Because riding a motorcycle...
on a motorcycle.
What's the very first thing that you think of when you're riding on a motorcycle? Don't answer. It is, motherfucker, I feel like a cop. This is the best, right?
They don't make motorcycles for people that fucking big, though.
Yeah, well...
I mean, they do, but you have to get them custom made, like Shaq.
Yeah. Well, we'll...
Otherwise, you look like a fucking clown.
We'll get to being too
On a
big for
moped.
riding motorcycles. So, while he's doing all this shit, he did real good at school, real well at school. I'm going to say that part correctly.
Yeah, you did real good at school, too.
Shut the fuck up, motherfucker. And he was paroled for another 18 months. And then his doctors at Atascadero had recommended strongly that he not go back to his mother. She had relocated to Santa Cruz because his mom plus him equal no good him, you know?
Santa Cruz is hard, too. You fall in with that rowdy crowd and, you know.
So they sent him directly back to his mother.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
His psychiatrist was like,
so the
do
state
not
sent him back?
let him live with that woman. And then the youth authority was like, all right, go live with your mom.
Wow. I want to see what happens.
The saga continues. So, back with Clarnell. That's right. Did we miss her? No. Now her last name is Strandberg, because she has since been married and divorced. But she held a responsible position as an administrative assistant on the University of California at Santa Cruz campus. I'm going to call that the UOCASC from now on.
Works for me.
That's the only time I'm going to have to say it, I'm sure. She was... People liked her, you know?
Warcast.
Life without her son for a few years, she felt pretty good. Like she'd had a peaceful few years. She did get married and divorced again, but still. But as soon as he got back into her life, into her little duplex, they just started having fucking, verbal battles, but loud enough to be heard by and commented on by their neighbors. She still nagged him like crazy, blamed him for everything, including her first failed marriage. And he says later
her
that
parents-in-law's death.
Yeah. She said later. I mean, every day I would just be like, you killed your grandparents.
Seriously.
Son of a bitch. Why would I want you
you're not
here?
allowed to have
You murdered
anything.
your grandparents. So, but he says later that she would
plastic silver.
She would ream him about as things as trivial as whether he should get his teeth cleaned or not. So to get away from his mom, he would a lot of nights go hang out at this place called the Jury Room, which was a local bar. And godliness is next to not existingness.
Exactly, which means that you should always try to make the germs not exist.
That's right. Now you see what I'm talking about with hippies. So,
Damn right.
you know what kind of place this jury room was? It was a local bar frequented by off-duty cops and deputies. He still super wanted to be a cop, but knew that he couldn't. So he would at least hang out with cops. He would get to do that, and then they could talk about different kinds of guns and the ammo that these guns use, man, and like they could totally talk about like stuff that's going on, and like maybe like they could like deputize him, and they could like shoot out at the OK conduct. Fuck, man, I'm too tall.
So
they gave him
fake it until you make it. surround yourself by the type of person that you want to become.
He just needed to cut his legs off at the shins, and he'd have been fine. They referred to him as Big Ed, because what else do you refer to the 6'9" man named Ed that keeps knocking stuff over because he can't see the horizon bends before his arms end. Crazy. So
It is.
he through the years he would take various positions as laborer, and but he finally got a really fucking good job with the Division of Highways, and that allowed him to move out of his mom's house and into an apartment which was in Alameda, and he shared that place with a friend. But he says later, because a lot of shit that we hear about the more minutia driven parts of his life is from him later. He says that his mom still
I love that fact too.
Yeah.
That he gave so many interviews.
He's one of the best interview reads of any serial killer ever. Because everybody, all the other serial killers are like me. He's like, yeah, me, but like, here's why, and here's a graph, and if you hand me that beaker over there, we'll put the solution into it. And that didn't happen because he was anyway.
Yeah.
So his mom still fucking just constant beratement and belittlement, so he says. And while he's working there, he wrecks his motorcycle twice because he's too fucking big to be riding a motorcycle, and he should have fucking well known that. So the Department of Highways lets him off a bit of time after the second one because he had broken his arm, and he ended up getting an out-of-court settlement, and he ended up buying a car. And it's, I mean, hey man, it's all a coincidence and shit or whatever, but that car just so happened to look a lot like an unmarked police car. He then equipped the unmarked looking car that he had bought with a radio transmitter and a microphone, a large whip antenna, and started picking up some hitchhikers.
Wow.
Small, pretty female hitchhikers. He would pick them up and he would study them. He would watch how they would react to him. He would learn the best ways to make them trust him, and he would drop them safely where they wanted to go. And in his head the whole time, he is fuck stabbing them like crazy. So,
wow.
But he knew that he had to work all of the kinks out of this plan of his before he could actually put the plan into action. So he begins to outfit his car for these future plans. He took that big ass antenna off. He rigged the passenger door to keep it from opening from the inside. He has plastic bags, knives, guns, and a blanket in the trunk. So he would still just pick up girl after girl, just each one more of an experiment than the last, just waiting to see if he had a moment to take it. And after more than a year of picking girls up and letting them go, on May 7th, 1972, that moment finally came. That's
Lord, dude,
I believe
that's
what
so
he
much preparation.
believe what he would have called the magic hour. So,
Oh
Mary,
my God, I can't even imagine. It's so crazy that I just think about. Never mind. It's not going to make any fucking sense, but it's just crazy.
So Marianne Pesci and Anita Lucchesi were students at Fresno State College. They were hitchhiking to Stanford after a couple of days they had spent in Berkeley. Well, they never got there. So their families both filed missing person reports. But back then, runaways and transients in the Bay Area were so common that it was really hard to get the cops to even pursue the case because they're like, oh, well, we get 50 of these a day, and they're just fucking hippies going around doing and being hippies, you know? Because girls disappeared all the time, but they would turn up someday with a new boyfriend or friend, and you know, even if they had taken action right away, it really wouldn't have done any good because Edmund had killed
Dead on the beach in
Marianne
Thailand.
and Anita soon after picking him up. After driving him around for a bit, he took his gun out from under the seat, and then he pulled off into a deserted area. He put Anita in the trunk, and then he turned his attention toward Marianne. He first handcuffed her, and later across the back seat face down. Then he put a plastic bag over her head and attempted to strangle her with a length of terry cloth. She bit a hole in the bag, and the cloth snapped. Which is when I would be like, you know what? This has all been a huge mistake. You know, but he's like, no, that's it. Like, this is the magic hour. And he gets real frustrated, pulls out his knife, and just fucking stabs her repeatedly. And after just stabbing her a bunch, he eventually slashes her throat. So, with 1 out of 2...
In the car?
In the car, in the back seat. He then takes Anita out from the trunk, and with an even larger knife, he begins to stab her. She fought and she screamed, but he eventually wore her down. What he later says about that, I don't have the direct quote in front of me right now, but it is one of the crazy insights into the man himself and who he thinks he is, or at least who he thinks he is freely putting out to the world. He says, you know, it's a lot harder than you think to stab somebody. not your brain telling you not to do it, but the physicality of shoving the blade of a knife into someone's chest is, he says, it took an amazing amount of force. He said he had to hit her so hard with it that she came off of her feet.
Oh yeah, no, I bet. Yeah, the movies make everything seem so easy. Like,
yeah, have you ever tried to break a car window with your fist? Jesus Christ.
Fuck no, there's no way. I'll break my goddamn hand. Just
Yeah,
like you know how bad it is for you to be knocked out for any longer than a fucking second? And
Yeah,
people
that's
in the
brain
movies
damage.
get knocked out from any and every little hit for fucking like a half an hour while they have conversations.
Yeah, but in real life,
This
that hit
guy's
to the
just
head
laying
just now
over
would
here.
hurt like hell, but you'd be like, what the fuck, man? Ow! And then
Yeah.
now you're just getting bashed to death in the head. And if you're not
Yeah,
to death,
it
you're
really
waking
does.
up a different person, let's say.
Like, sometimes just the right hit will knock you out, but sometimes, like, for the most part, the human brain doesn't want to go out unless it's sleepy time for real. Like,
Yeah.
it's not that easy.
Yeah,
It's like
our brains
breaking
are
a
quite the
neck or-
diva. Our brains are like,
Yeah.
I want rest when I want rest, and if I'm not going to get it, I swear to God, I will kill off portions of myself.
And scream and fight and what the fuck. That shit's crazy.
You know what else is what the
But
fuck? though,
continue.
Chris?
I'm
No. This is good. I'm digging it. So what else is fucked up is that he drove around with their bodies in the car, like, for a little while. Because it seems to me that the one part of his plan that he maybe didn't think all the way through is what he should do with these bodies once he's successfully turned them into bodies from living human beings.
thought you said he'd learned. Thought you said he was a genius.
Well, no one else had gotten that far without getting caught, apparently. So,
Well, he had already done the first part before and had nothing to do with the fucking body. So why the fuck wouldn't he have thought about what the hell's the second part? Like,
hey man,
really,
boys will be
dude?
boys.
You spent now 5 years studying and didn't even make it past the first part?
I mean, you know, it's opening night jitters, so they say. You know, you're always like, oh, I knew I'd forget something, you know, and that's just what you
Yeah.
forgot.
Yeah. I got
So
it. Yeah, no,
eventually,
okay. That's
eventually though, he brings Marianne's body into his apartment, where he undresses her, and then he dissected her. Yes. He also beheaded Anita's body. Marianne's body was buried in a plastic bag he'd used to try to suffocate her with, and later he would lead police to the site. He kept both of their heads for a while, though. Eventually, he disposed of them in a ravine, and Marianne's head was found and identified in August, but neither Anita's head nor body had ever been found. And that, my wonderful little puppets, is part 1 in this stone cold series of a motherfucker of a story of Edmund Kemper.
I love this guy too. The actual interviews that you see so many of them online.
When I say that his sweetheart, do you remember what I told you his IQ was? Yeah, it was like 147 or some shit. It's astounding what this dude's brain could have done had it not been preoccupied with bloody murder sex.
So see, kids, it's easy and very, very, what's the word I'm searching for? Real to be the dumbest smart guy ever.
Yeah.
Like, for real.
Even the smartest guy in the world can have a really stupid idea for something, and then he can pull off that really stupid idea flawlessly, but it's still a really stupid idea.
Or stupid idea, like, only halfway. Stupid, and he didn't fucking think it through properly.
But, that's the Edisons of the world, while the super, like, altruistic smart dudes are the Nikola Teslas, which are relegated to the annals of history, where they can only be fully appreciated almost 200 years after they die, because the other dude had more money and put his name on stuff.
Right. Well, I mean, the fucked up thing is, like, this, as smart as he probably was just inherently great at something that he never actually found, because of the fact that this other thing was occupying all his
you know
time.
What I bet he if he wouldn't have been a murderer, what he would have been like just fucking godlike at is Scottish Highland River dance, man.
I thought you were gonna say, like, getting kitty cats out of trees and shit.
No, see, that takes nothing. That's just being tall. He was Michael Flatley before Michael Flatley and after Michael Flatley.
Oh, the pre and post Michael Flatley.
Mm-hmm. Because he killed, beheaded, raped, and disposed of Michael Flatley.
Ew.
Oh, it's good to be back.
That's gross.
It's good to be back. So I wouldn't exactly call this a mini or a shorty. I still don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with the intro for it or anything like that. Maybe I'll do something fun. But this is the best place in the show in the story to end the show, because it ramps up exponentially from here for at least 2 more episodes. So I hope you like here. I mean, there was how often do we get to hear of the serial killer that we're going to be talking about in the next episode? In his first, like, origin story episode, how often do we get to hear him as a child, as an adolescent, murder? How often do we get to hear about murders by the guy we're talking about in their formation episode? Not often.
No, not very.
So this guy was advanced in all kinds of ways. He was a fast study, you know?
Prodigy. Ahead of his time.
Like, don't get me wrong, people. This guy was a piece of shit. Like he murdered trusting innocent girls, because he knew that he could tell them exactly what they needed to hear to not think that he was going to do what I just said he did to them. That guy's a piece of shit scumbag, but it's a fascinating look at how someone that is a piece of shit scumbag, how they can be one of those things turned up to 11 trillion. And on that sobering note, you've just listened to another episode of See No, Hear No, Speak No.
Indeed, the UFOs, the conspiracies, and the yucky murders.
Fart sound.
Countdown?
I said fart sound. You said countdown. You gotta stop telling me when to do countdowns, dude. I feel like you're stepping on my shit a little bit over here.
Alright, let's go.
All right.
We're out.
So
I'm tired.
So
Sleepy
Roman
time.
numeral countdown. 3. Oh, that's still just 3, 2, and 1, isn't it? Okay. I.
Later.
I.
В небесах ты стоишь головой на земле.